today. So welcome, and 2022. I don't think any of us have any great sense of what to expect from this crazy time, from this new year. I saw somebody wrote on something that they sent out that they're hoping to be hopeful. And I thought that kind of summed it up. We're hoping to be hopeful. I hope everyone is well as can be, and that you have enjoyed the holiday and your time off, whatever that looked like for you. I was supposed to go away and didn't. Stayed home because it wasn't safe to visit my elderly parents. So I'm sad about that, but happy to be here and looking forward to the spring when we can all be together again. So, hoping to hope. So I wanted to talk just a little bit today about the 8 limbs of yoga. So we are very well aware of the physical part of yoga, right? The asana, the practice, the poses. But did you know that that's the 3rd limb? And the first 2 limbs are called the yamas and niyamas, and they're about right living with others, those are the yamas, and right living with yourself, the niyamas. Then comes asana, pranayama, which is breath work, pratyahara, which is our senses, dharana, which is that concentration that we do when we meditate, and then dhyana, which is the state of meditation, ultimately leading to samadhi or unity, the experience of connecting with something greater than yourself. So through the next couple of weeks, we will be referencing the yamas and the niyamas. And I'll just very briefly take you through a little bit of information, and then we'll get right into poses. But the yamas are sometimes called restraints, and they're about our relationships with others. How we seek harmony through nonviolence, truthfulness, not stealing, being honest, not participating in excess, refraining from overindulgences, and not being possessive. So those are some of the things that we will cultivate. So how can we cultivate an authentic, compassionate relationship with the world around us, being filled with wonder and awe, without clinging to what is known or comfortable, right? That is our temptation, is to cling, and finding new skills and the courage, not the scourge, the courage to be fully present. So I did a survey recently asking people about their interest in other kinds of classes. And one of the comments I got was about doing things too much the same every week. And I thought that was so interesting, because for me, I love having that sort of those set pieces that allow us to drop more deeply. If you know kind of what's coming next, then you know that you can focus on your breath and on your movement. But there's nothing wrong with shaking things up. So we're going to start standing. So everybody find your way up to standing. And it would be good to be in a place where you have access to either a chair or a nice solid piece of furniture. I'm going to use this chair, or a wall. So something that you can use as we move into some balance poses. And once you get your equipment, and I should grab my blocks. I'm not sure if I need them today, but I always try to have my props available just in case. I'll put those out. And take a moment to find your Tadasana, mountain pose. Feel your feet making that connection to the ground. Feeling the sensation of being present in authenticity, And finding your inner sense of balance. Bring your hands to your hips and shift a little bit, maybe side to side, maybe front to back. Noticing where you are in space, where you are in your body. Now, maybe some of you have done some yoga over the break, and maybe you haven't. Maybe you've done some other kinds of exercise, or maybe you've been resting and taking care in that way. And all of those are good things. And so we'll ease back in to our practice. Release your arms down and stand up nice and tall. Use your breath to lengthen your spine, reaching up through the crown of your head, reaching down through your heels, that sense of connecting to the ground. And let's do 3 sun breaths. Inhale and float the arms up. Let the palms come together somewhere that's comfortable. It doesn't have to be right overhead, it could be in front of you. And then exhale and draw that energy right to heart center. We'll do that a few more times. And after your next exhale, come to some stillness, standing with hands at heart center. Once again, shift your weight a little bit side to side and front to back. Feel the sensation of rooting deeply into the ground and the strength and energy of the body to lift away from gravity, fighting gravity, reaching up through the crown of the head. We're going to move into our tree pose sequence. So stay here or find the support that you need somewhere and begin to root into your left leg. Allow the right to float up a little bit. Turn out at the hip and then either toes on the ground with your heel at your ankle, or bring your foot to your calf or even up to your thigh, above or below the knee. Feel that connection of the foot to the leg to the foot. Feel free to come in and out as you need to. Allow the breath to flow as if you're drawing it up from the root system up through the trunk of your tree, and then maybe branches can grow. Feel the little micro adjustments that the body makes. Big inhale, and then 2 feet down. Exhale, hands to heart center. You can walk in place if that's helpful. And then find your way back to stillness. Take a moment to shift side to side and front to back, finding that place in the center that feels really balanced. Send your roots deep. And this time, press down through the right leg, liberate the left. And same foot position on this side or a different one, above or below the knee. Try to hug in so that you're not way out to the side, so that you're up and over your one standing leg. Allow the breath to flow. This is my harder side today. Maybe it's yours as well. Let's take it up and out, finding your branches, finding that sense of buoyancy, even as you are deeply connected to the ground. And when you're ready, exhale and step out, walk in place. Make sure you have enough space to the side. We'll move into flying crane. As we inhale and spread our wings, we'll lift one leg. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale, lift, and come back to center. And now find your own speed for your flight. Lifting and lowering, inhaling and grounding. And this, for the next time that you lift your wings, stay. We're soaring, floating. Exhale back through center. Inhale to the other side. Lift and find that point of suspension. And back to center. Take a moment here on both feet, hands at heart center, and maybe allow your eyes to close for just a moment, seeing what it's like to find your balance from the inside out. And when you're ready, blink eyes open and shake out a little bit. Let's stand a little bit wider and take a gentle circling twist. You can look in the direction that your shoulders go, or you can keep your head facing forward. Just really gentle, beginning to warm up. And come back to stillness in the center with legs about mat width apart. Let's inhale and raise arms up. Now, if you're comfortable, bring your palms together, interlace your fingers and release your index finger, and then reach tall. If that's too much, then keep your elbows bent, keep your hands on your shoulders. You could even keep your hands at heart center. Inhale and get nice and tall. Exhale, press your right hip to the right and come up and over to the left, a little or a little more. Maybe you need more support, so bring your hand down to your hip, trying to stay in one plane of motion. So we're not dropping forward or arching back. We're coming as if we're between two panes of wavy glass. Inhale through center. Exhale, press to one side and up and over to the other. Draw your abdomen in for support. Use that extra hand, whatever you need. Inhale up through center. Exhale, release arms down. We'll do it one more time. Inhale up. If you're interlacing your fingers, try the alternate grip so that you feel that awkward feeling like you're holding your own hand. Inhale, get tall and up and over to one side, lengthening, reaching more than dropping. Inhale through center and exhale up and over to the other side. Inhale up and exhale lower. Beautiful job. Walk your feet back in. Now we're going to do a little bit of work either at the wall or using a very solid and sturdy piece of furniture. So I'm going to use my chair. And I know that if I use a certain motion, the chair is going to tilt. But if I have a nice steady motion and the chair is on my mat, that it's not going anywhere. Okay, so step back a little bit away from your wall or your chair and bring your hands or your fists or your forearms onto either the back of the chair or onto the wall, and find a standing plank. So the idea here is to have a nice long spine reaching through the crown of the head, a little bit of a forward lean, and a little bit of weight bearing into your hands or forearms or fingers, whatever your fists, whatever you've used. Stay for just a few breaths. You can have, if you're coming to the wall, your arms can be up kind of at shoulder height. Here I don't want such a steep angle, so I'm taking a little bit lower position with my arms. And now we're going to step back into our supported down dog. You can watch first if you'd like. So I'm going to step my feet back and come into what sometimes is called like a jackknife position. So you can see I have my knees bent. I have a long spine. I'm not coming into a curve in my back. I'm not arching or dropping in the other direction. I'm lengthening through my arms. If I'm on the wall, I've walked my hands down a little bit lower. And I'm finding a nice strengthening and lengthening, the joy of yoga that we get both. On your next inhale, step your left foot forward, coming up onto the ball of the right. So we're in a lunge position. The front leg, the knee is bent and it's over the ankle. Both hips are pointing towards the chair or the wall, and the back heel is lifted. Now, if that's too much, you can step your foot in a little more if that feels better. But this is our basis for the warrior poses. So from here, you can either stay lifting through the heart, reaching through the crown of your head, lifting your abdomen to support your back. Maybe you reach with one or both arms. Lifting and opening. And then exhale, both hands down to your chair or wall. We're going to open to the side. So drop your back heel as you pivot. And we're going to open into a warrior two stance. So the front knee is still bent, but we've turned the leg out. Really, the leg stayed in place and the body turned out, right? It depends on which part is fixed and which part is doing the movement. The back foot, the ankle is flexed, your heel is down, and your foot is maybe at a little bit of an angle in or straight ahead. Now, what we don't want to do here is lean. We want to be nice and upright. So one hand on your support. Maybe you'll extend the other arm out and turn, looking in the direction of the front leg. Stay here or add the reach of the front arm. Warrior two, strong pose. Take a breath here. If your arms are up, replace one and then the other hand. We're going to pivot back through our warrior one stance. And then this is tricky, step the front foot to meet the back foot and find your down dog. Take a few breaths. And we'll do the whole thing on the other side. So step up with the right foot into your warrior one position, that lunge. Back heel is up, you're on the ball of your foot, both hips pointing straight ahead. Front knee is bent over the ankle. Stay right here, lifting, drawing up, or add one or both arms. Make sure your feet are on railroad tracks, not a balance beam. It's much harder to balance if your feet are, front to back in front of each other. One more breath. Lower hands to your chair or your wall. And now we're going to pivot and open to warrior two. You're going to see my back. I'm going to drop my back heel. My toes are pointing in at an angle. And as I pivot, right, I'm opening up this is my right leg. I'm opening my right hip. So one hand on your chair or wall, extend the other. Maybe you turn and look, or maybe you add the other arm and take that nice long reach. Pressing down through your feet, make sure your knee is over your ankle. One more breath, on your exhale, hand to your support. Other hand comes around as we pivot back through warrior one. We're going to step back into our down dog. And then slowly walk back up. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, release, hands to heart center. That was a version of Surya Namaskar, the salute to the sun. We can do the same sequence on the mat. We can do it here on a chair or on the wall. It gives us really different things, different perspectives, different balance needs, different strengthening, but it's a nice sequence to go through. So from here, let's take one more big breath, inhaling up. Exhale, release the arms down, and now we're going to make our way down to sitting. So use your supports and take a nice and leisurely path down. We'll come actually to hands and knees. Let's come to tabletop position. So I've grabbed my bit of mat that I use under my knees. I'm going to move, whoops, there goes my AirPod. I'm going to move my chair out of the way. Readjust and come into my tabletop. Scoot this back just a little. If hands and knees is not working for you today, that's fine. You can come onto your back and do similar movements lying on your back. If this is hard on your wrists, you can always use knuckles or forearms, either on the floor or on a block. So find the length of your spine here, reaching crown of the head. So that's the top of the head, not the forehead. Looking down in between your thumbs or hands or elbows, reaching long through your tailbone. From here, stay with this long spine. Take a nice big inhale. And on your exhale, think about drawing your belly button up towards your spine. If you could imagine that your belly button could touch your spine. On your inhale, softly release that hug. We're keeping a nice long spine, lots of strength. Inhale, exhale, and hug the belly in. Inhale, soften, let it go. Exhale, hug in, nice and tight. 2 more. And then walk your knees out wide, toes stay close together, and soften your hips towards your heels. Come down onto your forearms. If this is comfortable, you can try stacking your fists and resting your head, or stacking your hands, or bringing your head down to the mat. Our goal here in child's pose is to soften and round. There are 2 names for child's pose. One is Balasana, which means child's pose, and the other is Garbhasana, which means womb pose. So imagine this curled shape is the baby in the womb, if you like that image better. One more big breath in and exhale, let it go. Walk your hands back and your knees closer together and make your way into sitting. So you can bring your feet to one side and your hips to the other and come to sit up nice and tall. Now I'm going to grab a cushion to sit on, or actually I think I'm going to grab my blanket. So I have lots of props. I can choose what I need. So I'm taking this folded blanket and I'm going to bring it behind me so I can sit on it. And I'm going to sit really on the edge of it so that only my sitting bones, my sits bones are on the blanket. right? So not my thighs. And then I'm going to bring my feet into bound angle pose, Badakanasana, feet together, knees apart. If this is a lot for you, you can do two things. One, you can sit up higher. So sit on a cushion or a bolster if you have that. And or you can take blocks and use them underneath your thighs to give you just a little bit more support, so that you can, holding onto your knees, shins, or ankles, on an inhale, sit up nice and tall. Reach the crown of your head towards the sky. As you exhale, soften and sink into the ground beneath you without losing that length in your spine. Maybe your hips let go just a little bit so your knees can drop a little bit lower. Inhale, sit and reach nice and tall. Exhale, soften. Do just a few more breaths like this. And now if you have extra space, think of lengthening and then coming forward with a long spine. What I don't want is for you to round forward. So if you have no more space, then stay right here, sitting up nice and tall, holding on to your legs for support, or exhale and tip, hinge forward. 3 more breaths. Lengthening on each inhale and softening on the exhales. And after your next exhale, press in to the ground to sit up nice and tall. Use your hands to help walk your legs out wide. So in this position, again, I'm still sitting up on the edge of my blanket, but it's not underneath my thighs. It's just underneath those bones, the sits bones. And that helps me to keep my pelvis in a neutral space. So what I want to avoid is this, where I'm sitting on my tailbone. So imagine you have a tail and sit up nice and tall with your tail behind you, right? You're not sitting on it. It's coming out behind you. Inhale here and sit up nice and tall. Press out through your heels, flexing your feet. Toes should be pointing up towards the ceiling. Really engage through your knees so that you're engaging your thigh muscles. Nothing should hurt. If this is too much on the backs of your knees, then soften and don't engage as much. You could even put something underneath your knees, like a little pillow or a rolled up piece of mat, or even a block. And a block could work. And then soften and let that go, maybe little bounces. See if you have any room to do an in and out with your legs. You may not. I have very little internal rotation of my legs and lots of external rotation. You may be the same or different. And slowly walk your feet in to center so that your legs are extending out in front of you. Now, this may be too much on your knees, so you could take your blocks and place them underneath your knees if that feels good. Just make sure it doesn't make you rock back onto your tailbone. Sitting up nice and tall, flex your feet. You can see my toes sticking up. And hands down to either the mat in front of you, or if you need more support, you can have them behind you. Inhale, lengthen, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, if you have space to hinge forward, right? So we just keep that long spine, then hinge gently forward. Inhale, lengthen, And exhale, soften. 2 more breaths. This would be a nice place to use a strap. I didn't think to suggest it, so you probably don't have one handy, but if you do and you want to wrap your strap around the balls of your feet, this can help lengthening. And when you're done with this practice, let your legs relax and walk your feet back. I'm going to come off of my blanket. Walk my feet out in front of me, knees bent, feet nice and wide. I have my hands behind me for support. And I'm going to gently drop my knees from side to side, inhaling through the center and then letting them drop. Now you may see on one side, I can drop my knees and keep my hand back here. But on the other side, that's too much. I have to release my arm a little bit. So you can do what I just did, knees dropping, or you can release your arm a lot and come around into a twist. Inhale through center and exhale around into a twist. Take your time working with this pose, either knees dropping or knees and a little twist or a big twist. Maybe it feels good. And this or the next time that you come through center, come back to a cross-legged seat if that's comfortable. I'm going to move on to my cushion now because I want to have a little more support. I'll sit up nice and tall on my cushion. And again, even here, I'm rolling a little bit forward to keep my pelvis aligned so that I'm not tucking back. We're all built differently. Some people are naturally a little tucked. Some of us are naturally a little, have a little more forward tilt to their pelvis. And I guess some of us are in the middle. I don't know. I don't know those people. I'm kidding. So let's do some sun breaths here. Inhale and float the arms up. Turn palms to face away, and on your exhale, float the arms down. Let's do a few more. And the next time that arms are coming up, hold here, lower one hand and come up and over to the side. You can always bend your elbow and bring your hand to the back of your head or to your neck. Stay for a breath or two and then inhale through center and exhale to the other side. Take your time. We'll go side to side a few times. Staying for at least one breath as you're in your side bend and you breathe. See if you can open up from the top of your hip all the way up to your armpit. Feeling the breath help you to open through the side body. Almost like you're spreading your ribs like they're blinds. Just a couple more. And this or the next time that you inhale through center, pause there. Let's recross our legs if you are using a cross-legged seat. And we'll work on some twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, left hand to right knee, right hand behind you. Inhale here, get nice and tall, and exhale, twist, looking towards or over your shoulder. Your hands are just there for support, not to crank you around. Inhale through center and exhale to the other side. The inhale gives you length. The exhale is a nice squeeze of the abdomen that helps you to twist a little more deeply. Let's do one more set to each side. And when you're done, inhale through center, exhale, release arms down. Going to make our way on to our backs. So if you're sitting on something, you can scooch it out of the way. And then my teacher calls this couch pose. I love this, where you just sort of slide out on one side and roll onto your back. Make sure that there is nothing big underneath your head. You could have a very flat, like folded blanket if you need to, but no pillows. Walk your feet in close to your sits bones. Feet and knees will stay, pardon me, hip distance apart. Arms can be down at your sides, palms down. And we'll start with a little pelvic tilt. Inhale in place and then exhale, press your low back down. It's a little bit of that belly button to spine. And then on your inhale, think of your sits bones, your tailbone reaching towards the ground, and that natural curve under your lumbar, of your lumbar spine reasserts itself. Exhale, the tailbone lifts, the top of the pelvis drops down. Inhale, the reverse action. Take just a few more passes, rocking through this pelvic tilt. And the next time that you're coming through neutral, so that you're neither tilted forward nor back, from this neutral place, feet nice and steady, arms at your sides. Let's inhale, pressing into your feet and gently lift your hips. It could be just an inch or a little bit more. Hold here for a breath. On your next exhale, slowly lower hips down. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift, pressing into your feet. Maybe come a little bit higher this time, maybe not. Use your arms for support. You can even bend your elbows, and that gives you even a little more support. Robot arms. Exhale and lower down. Then we'll do it one more time. Inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips. Stay for a breath, stay in place. On the inhale, you can press up maybe a little bit higher. And on the exhale, slowly lower hips down. And now let's draw knees in, maybe one at a time or both. Maybe you can hug your shins, or like me, have one hand on each knee. And I'm going to rock from side to side, just to release through my back. And then holding on to your right leg, let your left foot come down to the mat. Really squeeze that leg in if it's comfortable, and think of aiming your knee for your shoulder, right? So you're not coming into the center, you're coming knee towards the shoulder. Stay right here, or see if you could slide that left leg long while holding your knee in tight. Maybe you're flexing your foot and sliding on your heel, or maybe just staying right where you are. And on an inhale, slide the foot back up and release the knee down. We'll switch sides. Draw that left knee in Squeeze it in nice and tight, knee towards the shoulder, knee towards the shoulder. Stay right here, or see if you'd like to slide that right leg long, flexing through your foot. So you're ultimately pressing the heel away from you. Now my leg tends to turn out, and I'm working to try and get it, excuse me, to be centered, facing knee and toes towards the ceiling. Some of you may naturally drop in, and see if you can work towards that. If you have your leg extended, that it is pointing towards the ceiling. Slowly slide the leg back in and release the other knee. Walk your feet out a little wider. I'm going to scooch away from the wall so I have room. Bring your arms either down at your sides, or you can have them out at shoulder height, or even in goddess or cactus arms. Your knees, your feet are wider than your hips. And we're going to just gently drop the knees from side to side. Gentle twist. If this is too much, walk your feet in a little closer and don't go as far in your dropping of the knees. And now, the next time your knees drop to the right, see if you can let them stay there. If that's not comfortable, then keep moving gently side to side. If it is comfortable to release the legs, you can do that. Maybe you turn your head and look in the opposite direction of your knees. And then on an inhale, head and knees back to center. And we'll go to the other side. Test it out. See, it may not be okay on this side, or maybe it is okay on this side. It shouldn't be painful. If you feel a little bit of stretch, that's okay, but make sure that it's not any more than a comfortable stretch. And then inhale back to center. Maybe you'd like to hug your knees in once again and rock a little from side to side. And take the next 2 to 3 minutes to do anything that your body is calling for to complete your practice. That might be more knees to chest, a happy baby pose if that's in your practice. Maybe a figure 4 stretch. What is your body calling for to prepare for some breath meditation and ultimately some rest? Now that I'm back at my computer, I can see we do have a few newer people, so welcome. I'm glad you're here. So taking your time to complete your practice, and then once you feel like you've worked to both sides comfortably, begin to set yourself up for some rest. You can lie on your back with pillows under your knees, a pillow under your head, maybe a blanket over you if it's cool in your space. Maybe you'd like to be seated instead of lying down, or bring your legs up onto the chair, or if you have your couch nearby, might feel good to rest your legs up on the couch. You could even lie on your side with a pillow between your knees and one underneath your head. Take a moment to find comfortable space for this next part. And once you arrive, allow the body to settle. Allow the body and the breath to settle. Allow the body, the breath, and the mind to settle. Softening and letting go. With each exhale, allow your legs to feel heavy, your hips sinking into the ground beneath you. Allow your belly to be soft and open, your heart to be open. Allow your shoulders to drop down away from your ears, resting maybe on the ground. Arms extended comfortably. Palms open. They can be down or up, but allow the fingers to uncurl. Let go through your shoulders, your neck and jaw. Relax the muscles of your face, softening, broadening. Imagine you could unwrinkle any of the wrinkles just by thinking about it. Soften across your forehead. Let your eyebrows relax. Soften the top of your head. A feeling of expansiveness there. Feel the breath flowing through the body, unobstructed. Each inhale gives you space. Each exhale helps you to soften and let go. We'll come into a period of quiet rest. The moment is here. The moment you step forward into the light. The moment that your soul takes flight. Burrow no more in darkness. Dare to show your radiant self. The miracle of awakened energy giving you wings and the courage to be human and divine at the same time. With this breath, you are initiated into the depths of freedom and love, into the peril and perfection of the moment as it truly is. And you are right with it, open, refusing to close down no matter what challenges find you inside or outside. This is your moment to shine. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing small movements into fingers and toes. If you're lying down, then slowly roll to one side and pause, taking time before you press up to sitting, allowing attention to stay deeply inward for another moment or two. We'll seal our first practice of 2022 with one chant of the sound of Om for the community we create when we practice together. If you'd like to join, bringing hands to heart center, we'll inhale together. Om. Om. Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Jai Bhagwan. May the light in you be victorious. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and with each other.